Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today I'm going to be counting down my favorite doctors from worst to best. All 14 of the canon doctors from the TV show. I'm going to be looking at the 1st through 13th doctors and the War Doctor. Probably going to split this into two lists, considering I tend to ramble a bit, so probably the bottom 7 in one list, top 7 in another. We'll see how I split it up later. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it because, again, I can ramble. I'm going to start off with number 14, which is going to be a controversial one. It's going to be Jodie Whittaker. Now, this isn't because she's a woman, and I like Jodie as an actress. I've seen her in Broadchurch, and I've seen her in an episode of Black Mirror where she was fantastic. So I was actually just fine with her casting announcement. I like her as an actress. My problem with her is that I haven't gotten a feel for her doctor yet. I've gotten a couple glimpses of it. She had one really good moment in the New Year's special that I really liked. But she just seems kind of bland, or sometimes she kind of reminds me of Tennant and Smith. She hasn't really come into her own. Kind of like Peter Davison, you know? She just can't seem to pick a direction. And she seems to kind of guest star in her own show sometimes. So it's less her and more Series 11. I don't think Series 11 was bad like some people do. I think it was very mediocre. And it didn't really necessarily feel like what I'm used to with Doctor Who as someone who's been watching it since I was little in the 80s. However, it's only her first season, and sometimes it takes a doctor kind of a season, especially in the new series, to really get going and kind of get comfortable in the role. Unlike the classic series where the older doctors kind of hit the ground running. But in the new series, it tends to take them a season to really get their footing. And so she could easily move up, because I'm sure we're going to have another season or two with her. They traditionally do 3 seasons. So she could easily rise up on the list. I want her to get better writing. But just right now, I just haven't quite felt like she's had a lot of doctor moments, and I want to see more of those. Next on the list, I wrote down my list, is, I don't even know why I had to glance, I should know, is number 13, which is Colin Baker. Yeah, I know, it's a safe choice, but 80s Doctor Who was really, I didn't really like Jonathan Nathan Turner too much and a lot of the decisions he made. I think the 80s suffered for some bad writing at times too, and his outfit's just, ooh, that outfit. You could be watching a black and white TV and somehow the color from that outfit would bleed through. You name a color, it's in there somewhere. His outfit is just terrible. And it's hard to take him seriously. He's very arrogant, very over the top, very prone to anger. He doesn't always feel like the Doctor. He does have Doctor moments. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people seem to think that Colin Baker's Doctor for his whole run is the way he was in the Twin Dilemma. And I know he was nearly choked Perry to death in Twin Dilemma, but, I'll chalk up a lot of stuff to post-regeneration. So I'll kind of chalk that up to that. But still, throughout his run, his Doctor had issues. He has some great moments, some good speeches. His speech in the Trial of the Time Lords about battling against power-mad conspirators, fantastic speech. He has a couple others, too. He truly has some great moments where he shines as the Doctor. And actually has a couple really good episodes. I really like, Vengeance on Varos? Is it Varos? Varos? I forget the name of it. I really like that episode a lot, though. I enjoy it. And Trial of a Time Lord has, while having some bad moments in it, has some really good moments in it too. So while his Doctor is low, and I've never listened to the audios. I know I need to listen to the audios. I'm going strictly by the TV show. He still has some great moments. Moving up to number 12 is William Hartnell. A lot of people are going to be ready to do bad things to me. The thing about William Hartnell is and I'm not just counting William Hartnell. I'm going by the first Doctor here. So William Hartnell, Richard Herndon, and David Bradley. I just haven't seen a lot of his episodes. Whereas in Patrick, I've seen a lot of Patrick's episode. I love Patrick. I've just never gotten around to watching a lot of William's stories. I've only seen about 3 or 4 of William Hartnell's stories, and that includes the Unearthly Child original episode and the Daleks, where he's still very grumpy and crotchety and off-putting. Now, I've also seen a couple others. Like, I know I've seen The Ark, and I love The Ark. I thought that was a great one. And I think I've seen, like, one other one of his. But I'm more familiar with him. I think the first time I saw him was in The Five Doctors with Richard Herndahl playing him. And I liked Richard Herndahl in the role. And I love the fact that in The Three Doctors and The Five Doctors, the other doctors always seem to hold him in really high esteem, which is one of my problems with Twice Upon a Time. As much as I love that episode, 12, I don't think 12 treated him right. Much prefer how the other doctors usually think very highly of him. Patrick Troughton's second Doctor comments in The Three Doctors about having respect for him, the first Doctor. I need to watch more of his work, honestly, especially more of Hartnell's later work, once he kind of softened up, like toward the end of season 1, and really get a better feel for him. I liked him in Twice Upon a Time with David Bradley playing him. I thought David Bradley did a great job. The kind of sexist comments got a little old. I didn't mind the first 2 or 3. I got what they were doing. It got a little. If they'd just done a couple, I'd have been fine with it, just because I get what they were trying to do. But then they just kind of kept going overboard with it, and that bothered me a bit. But that's where his Doctor falls. I need to see more of it. Much like Jodie, I need to see more. Moving up to number 11, John Hurt as the War Doctor. Now, I love John Hurt. That man was a national treasure, and I miss him very much. And the main reason he's this low is we just don't get much time with him. When he is there, he is amazing. He has this gravitas to him. When he first shows up at the end of Name of the Doctor, he just steals the scene immediately with the way he talks and the finality and emotion in his voice. And then when we see him at the beginning of Day of the Doctor, he's simply amazing. And then kind of after, once all 3 of them meet up, he still has a few cool moments, but he's kind of playing second fiddle to Tennant and Smith, the popular doctors, for a lot of that. Although he still has some great moments, like when he's got the red button in front of him and his speech about that. Whenever he's on screen, he's simply amazing. I just wish we could have gotten more of him. And number 10 on the list. This is interesting. The hardest part of doing this list I've found is the middle part. My top 5 were very easy to do. I knew what they were going to be. My bottom 4 here were very easy to do because I knew what they were going to be. It was these middle ones, 6 through 10, and especially 6 through 9. I had a really hard time sorting that one out. My middle doctors. Trying to get them exactly placed, because I always knew they were kind of my middle doctors, but which one exactly trumps which one of these 6 through 10, but really 6 through 9, was really hard, and it took me a long time to really get this sorted out. And Lord knows, if you ask me a month from now, a couple of these might flip-flop. It was really hard to do the middle doctors. That was the hardest part of this list by far. Number 10, and this surprised me that he was so low because he was my favorite doctor when I was a kid, was Peter Davison. I loved him as a kid because he was young, blonde-headed. I'm young, was blonde-headed. We had a similar cowlick right here, the way we parted our hair, so I could really identify with him. And I loved his little preppy outfit, as I call it. His cricket outfit. I love that. And I still like that to this day. I get it looks a little silly, but I like it. I would cosplay that. His doctor is as he's even admitted, Peter Davis even admitted, he's a little bland. He couldn't quite pick what he wanted to do with it. I think he was playing it safe. He's very vulnerable at times, very emotional. He's still a great doctor, and I love watching him. I have his season 19 box set right here, and I do really like his doctor a lot. It's just I don't know. I can't really explain it. He's just a little bland, kind of like Jodie, I think, to where I wish he'd picked something and went with it. He kind of does that in Time Crash, which I like, the mini episode where he ran into Tennant. And I hear he does that more in the audios now, where he's a little more certain of his footing. But again, I'm going just by what I've seen in TV. And yeah, that's just kind of where he falls. He has good stories, bad stories. Like a lot of people say, I think he really comes into his own in Caves of Androzani, which is his swan song. But it's just as fantastic as you hear everybody talk about. And then we're going to move up to number 9, and this is where it got really tricky. Number 9 almost ended up at number 6. I'll put it that way. It really flip-flopped. Number 9 is Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor. I know that for some people this is like their favorite Doctor, second favorite Doctor. I don't get it. And the reason why he falls this low is I've been a Doctor Who fan since I was 3 or 4 years old, before I had living memory. I can't tell you who my first Doctor is. You know, for most people that's a big deal. Who was their first Doctor? I don't know. I can't remember that far back. I've literally been a Doctor Who fan for as long as I've had living memory. And there are certain things to me it takes to make a Doctor, and he doesn't tick all those boxes. He just doesn't do a lot of the things that are prerequisites for what a Doctor has to do for me to be a great Doctor. He's still amazing as an actor, but especially season 8 Capaldi. He's more like early William Hartnell. I don't like the grumpy old man Doctor. She cares, so I don't have to. That really put me off to him early, and I didn't really like his shorter hair. Now, I love the fact that much like Hartnell, his Doctor has an arc. He really changes over his 3 seasons, which is impressive. And he grew on me each season to where by the end, I really loved him. And I love the fact his hair got more doctory the longer he was there, to where it got very, I won't quite say John Pertwee-like, but it really got out and looked more appropriate for a Doctor. And he has some of the best speeches in the show's history. The Zygon speech is so amazing. His speech in The Doctor Falls, so amazing. Twice Upon a Time is a great episode, and I love how he is in it. He's a good Doctor. He just doesn't quite tick all my Doctor boxes. And if he had been more like he was in series 10, in series 8, I probably would have liked him better. He had to grow on me as he grew as a character. One of the reasons I think he didn't want to regenerate was because he had finally figured out who he was, so the last thing he wanted was to start over again, which really made that refusal to regenerate mean something to me, because it took him so long to figure out what that incarnation of him was and who that incarnation of him was. And I think he suffered from bad writing. I think Moffat's one of those people where he's great when he's doing 1 or 2 stories a season like he was in the Russell era. But once he took over, I think he tried to get a little too clever for his own good, and I think the writing suffered bad. I do think Peter Capaldi deserved better episodes. Peter Capaldi is a Doctor that has a lot of great moments in mediocre episodes. Like the Zygon speech is amazing, but that 2-parter is boring as hell. It gets monotonous. That could have been a 1-parter and it would have worked a lot better. Breaking it into a 2-parter, I don't even watch the episodes. I just like watching the speech on YouTube. And he has a lot of things like that where he has these amazing moments in mediocre episodes. And that, to me, also hurts him and knocks him lower down the list. Number 8 is Paul McGann, appropriately the 8th Doctor. I love Paul McGann. I'm glad in Big Finish he's gotten, more recognition. I liked him in the TV movie. I don't hate the TV movie as much as most people. I do think Eric Roberts is very hammy as the Master, but to me it's amusing. But I think Paul McGann is one of 2 things about that movie are really great. I'll get to the other one in a minute, but there are 2 things about the TV movie I absolutely love, and one of them is Paul McGann. He just hits the ground running to me, even with the amnesia. The bit about the shoes, they're great. And I always liked him, even when I first watched the movie back in the 90s when it first aired, back in 96 when it aired. I immediately liked his Doctor. I approved of his Doctor. I accepted him as the Doctor. I love when we got him back in Night of the Doctor. That was amazing. I didn't see that coming. And he was fantastic. And I know he's only on screen for like 7 minutes, but he's amazing in those 7 minutes. And he sells it. He sells it to people who have never seen the TV movie, that this man is the Doctor and he can carry it. And there are so many people that wanted a miniseries right then. They were like, we need a miniseries of the Time War with Paul McGann. I'm still up for that. He was great. I just wish we would have got more of him. And numbers, let's see. I think that's actually where I'm going to stop right here. And then I'll do a second part. I'll do a second part where we talk down the top 7. Anyway, click the like button, click the subscribe button, check out my main channel, Prowl171, PROWL1701, and we'll be back with another video for the top 7. Most importantly, thank you for watching.